Hi, this is Stephen with Fairs Management Interactive, better known as Fairs MI, and this is a lesson on how to measure distances. And it's a specific lesson on measuring distances when we want the distances called out to remain for, say, submitting to a fire marshal. So we do have a measure distance tool here, but this is mostly for when we're measuring an empty site, outdoors and such. It can be manipulated, but it gets confused with this pod here. It wants to snap to things that we don't want it to snap to. So this is great when you don't have anything laid out and you need a distance between barns or measuring an empty hall. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how that works with the empty hall first. And you just snap here and you grab this guy. Let me put it over this way. And we take the other end, and if you mouse over or just hold your mouse over top, it will show you that length. Now there's a better way for measuring and calling out measurements, and so if we look at the hall with booths, what we do to measure a distance is we would click on any booth and then hit the Control D as in dog, and that makes a duplicate. Then we drag it over to the distance we want to measure to, and it'll snap right there to where we want. Whoops, there we go, snap right there to where we want it. And we can look over at our booth control and see what that distance is. And we simply go ahead and in the booth number we put in the measurement instead. And we hit OK. Now that's basically it. Now if we wanted it to show that it's going side to side, there is a little tool here on the text that lets you flip the text 90 degrees. So it would go that way, and we can go ahead and make it a little smaller. And of course you'll see that it always wants to resize, auto size, when we make a change in the size of the booth. So we just go to our text control and pick it up to the size we want. From there we could go to the style and take the line off and leave the fill, but maybe take another color just to highlight it a bit. And we could do the same. Let's do the same on the horizontal. So I click that one, hit Control D, grab it up so it snaps in, snap it over. There we go. Now I'm going to just go ahead and resize it a little bit, and I'm going to go ahead and put that tint down there. And that's all you have to do. Now you can make it even a little fancier. Let's go ahead and hit Control D for this one. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the number out completely, hit delete, hit OK. I'm going to go ahead and make this as narrow as I can and go over to this red line. I'm going to bring it over to here like that. Now when I go here, and you'll see that it auto-sized that text pretty small. We'll take care of that in a second. But what I'm going to do is go back to my style, take the fill out, take the line out, go ahead back to text and adjust my size, and go ahead and click it a little closer. Whoop! Try again. And so there's my dimensions called out. Now, you don't necessarily want the public to see this, but you want the fire marshal to see it. So what I would do here is, and this is just another lesson, I would go to layers. And layers is really good when we want some things to show for some people and not show for others. So I'm going to hit layers. Everything is on this first layer here. But what I'm going to do is make plus a different dimension, different layer, double click. I'm going to go ahead and type in dimensions and rename it. Now I'm going to take all my dimensions, click on all my dimensions. Whoops, come on now. I'm going to have to grab around it to be fancy here to get both of those little things there. Okay, so I got both of them, and what I'm going to do is go over here, and if you take this little move section, click it down, and I'm going to check dimensions. Now that's on the dimension layer, and I can tell because if I hit this check mark, it's off and on. And if I don't want it to move around, I want to keep it safe, I can also lock it and unlock it. I can do the same thing for this one right here, and all I do is the same thing. I go to the move selection and I go ahead and change it from untitled layer to dimension, and there I am. And so that would, you could include all these. And now there's another advantage to keeping something like dimensions on another layer. Now when I'm done with putting the dimensions on, I would go ahead and move my booth layer up to the top again, so it is the predominant layer. And the point being is that when you go to generate your exhibitor data, it will generate the active layer. So if you've got just booths on one layer and dimensions on the other, it will allow, when you generate that layer, it only generates these. So you won't see these quote-unquote booths in your exhibitor list. So I think that's about it, at least enough to get you started. And just and as always, just give me a holler if you have any questions. Thanks so much.